If you're a video editor, you must avoid these 3 mistakes. I read in the book, I think it was Outliers. It says that you need 10,000 hours to become a pro at anything. And that may be true. I definitely edited more than 10,000 hours. But something that I'm sure that every expert can tell you is mistakes to avoid within their career. Once you've been doing something for this long, you know mistakes that you either wish you didn't do or you would recommend anybody not to do. And that's what we're going to talk about today. 3 huge mistakes that any editor should avoid. Number 1, going after the wrong niche. Now, this one is not that big of a problem, but everything you do moving forward will depend on this. Not only is it important to find the right niche, to find a good client, a client that is recurrent, a client that the videos are not too complicated, a kind that you can handle. But if you choose a niche that you don't like to see only for the money, you're gonna have to see this content again and again for the rest of your life, and it's gonna drive you crazy. So if you hate finances, don't go after the finance niche. Try something else. And if a finance guy comes up with a video and you need the money, well, do it. But immediately try to get out of that niche if you know you can't handle it. Now, this one is not a big problem, but I have to mention it because everything you do moving forward will depend on. Just to share a personal experience about this, there was a time where I got into the wedding niche. It was really good. They were paying like $700 per video. So I was like, oh my God, if I edit 10 videos, I'm making $7,000 a month. But there were so many things about wedding videos that I didn't like, and I edited a lot of videos dealing with the small pickiness of the video, the delay between payment and receiving finals, the infinite reviews, all these problems. And not to mention, I had to watch weddings again and again, which is not my favorite type of content. But this can happen to you on any niche, so you have to be very aware. Which brings me to number 2. This is very important because you can do a great editing, spend all your time in it, and if you don't get paid, you can literally go bankrupt. I remember moments when my rent depends on a payment, and I literally didn't receive it. I've met people that charge 50% up front and 50% after, which is a good way to prevent this, and they only receive the first 50%, which at least is something. But still, there's no protection at the end. I've seen people sign contracts, but the contracts, they don't respect the contract, and now they're not really going to hire a lawyer to go after the person, especially if it's a small size gig. At the beginning, a lot of clients will ask me to pay it after I deliver the final. Since I didn't have a strong portfolio and I had not much of a choice, I would have to agree with these terms. And in many occasions, I did not get paid for the work. Let me share with you one of the worst experiences I had in regards to this. And this will give you an idea how this can happen to anybody. I found this client. They've been looking for an editor. It was a church. They recorded their own kid show, but they had no clue what they were doing. However, they had a lot of footage, over 20 gigabytes per clip, and it was a very complicated process. After talking to them, I realized I can definitely do this. I've done shows before, and I felt like I was doing something good because even though I'm not looking to work with a church, I felt like maybe a kid show, it's gonna be good for the kids. After receiving the footage, I realized that they didn't know what they were doing. It was a complete mess. I had to do CGI, I had to do green screen, a bunch of technical stuff that they never mentioned before. After doing all this for days, I sent the video and they have many changes. And after sending it one last time, I remember receiving a phone call where they were telling me that God told them the editing wasn't right and they have to change everything all over. So at this point, there was not much to do for me, so I decided to send the invoice for the work that was already done. To my surprise, they sent me an email saying that they talked to God and God told them that they shouldn't pay for this video. If I don't mistake, it was around $1,000. And of course, I expressed how I don't agree with this, and they told me again that I was not gonna get paid. I never thought that I was not gonna get paid by a church. And if a church didn't pay me, imagine any other client. That's why you have to be protected. And I have to mention my own company, macroEdits, because I literally created macroEdits for this reason. We have escrow protection for both the editor and the client. So when you start a project, you can send a contract and the client will have to pay for the full amount that you agree. And just like when you charge 50% up front, you're gonna get 50% of your money up front and the other 50% once you send the final. I created this system to invoice my own clients based on all the experience that I had. And now I made it into a platform for everybody to enjoy. If you're an editor and you want to avoid these mistakes, feel free to create a free account. You can reach out to me and ask me any questions about the platform, and I will be happy to guide you. But this brings me to number 3, the nightmare client. Not being prepared for a nightmare client can lower your hourly rate to below minimum wage. This is huge. It's even more important than the payment protection because I have lost money with this. If you ask anybody on the editing community, which I had, everybody's gonna raise their hand and say, I dealt with this before. So what is a nightmare client and how do you know who is the nightmare client? Well, you don't. You can get some red flags here and there, but you really never know until the work starts. That's why you have to be ready. The nightmare client is very picky and micromanage everything. And the biggest problem with this is the reviews. As I mentioned before, you base your fixed price in your hourly rate, and you should have an idea of how long it's going to take you to complete these videos. However, with a nightmare client, you can do a great job and they will find a way to improve the video or just a way to change something. Not improve it, but change it. I personally have received over 150 edits on a video, and trust me, it was not a bad video. It was a great video. It was just changes, adding things that they thought of after they saw the final. This is why it's important for you to clarify with your client if you offer reviews, if they're free, how many, and your delivery time on the reviews, because some of these clients expect to get the reviews done faster than the video editing, and sometimes there's so many reviews that it takes even longer than the editing itself. In another video I'm going to talk about pricing, but just to give you an idea of how this can lower your hourly rate to below minimum wage, let me show you the formula. So let's say you charge $200 flat fee per video, and it takes you around 4 hours to complete, sometimes 3, sometimes 3.5, but this is kind of like an average. This makes your hourly rate into $50. After you deliver your video and you book your $50, let's say they send you 150 edits. And all these edits are just add-ons, not really edits. It's not like you made mistakes. It's not something that you could improve, audio levels. No, these are things that are unnecessary because they have very picky clients. Now, let's say that this took you 2 more hours to complete. That will immediately lower your hourly rate to $33.3. So you can see how you start losing money, and trust me, there is a chance you get another layer of reviews, and it may be even the same. When I show you this, some of you that have not experienced this may think, well, you have to make a really bad video for all these reviews to be made, and that's not the case. There is so much space to improve a video that is almost infinite. And some people think that the reviews need to be used, meaning they will give you as many changes as possible. So let's say it takes you another 2 hours to complete this other 150 edits. And I'm using these numbers because I actually experienced the exact numbers. At this point, your hourly rate is lowered to $25. So you can see how this can lower to 0. And I'm saying that it takes you 2 hours, but it may take you longer. In some cases, you have to change the music throughout the whole video. It may take you longer. And the more reviews, the less money. And the thing is, if you didn't agree to how many reviews and you're in the second round and then they send you a third one, chances are you're going to want to stop this. And you're probably going to say the reviews are going to cost you some money now. And 2 things can happen. The client can agree or the client can get mad and expect these reviews to be done for free. Either way, it puts you in a very uncomfortable position that you couldn't prevent. Now, I know some professional editors that they're very clear to their clients that the reviews are paid. They have to pay an hourly rate per changes. Even like this, some clients would argue. Again, this brings me back to macroEdits, which is a tool that I use to prevent this for myself, and now it's a tool available for everybody for free. How did I solve this problem with macroEdits? With our review tool. Our review tool, just like Frame.io, allows the client to leave feedback in a simple way that makes it easier for the editor to go back and make the changes. Better than a text message with a million timecodes, which I have received many times. But how can I solve this problem? That's why we made our review tool into the first ever monetized review tool, meaning you can assign a value for each edit or for edits at all. So if you're very worried about somebody changing the music and you know that that's going to take you like an hour and your hourly rate is $50, you can just simply create an edit that is $50 and it's called music change. The review tool makes them do the work, so it really slows down nightmare clients. The regular good clients will only use the review tool if they really see a mistake or they just need a small change. And if you get to a point where somebody is crossing the line, you can just monetize the edits after the second or third free round of reviews, whatever you feel comfortable with. Because every time you send the final, you can adjust the review tool again. But yeah, guys, those are the 3 mistakes. I have dealt with each of these. Like I said, number 1, selecting the wrong niche. Like I said, I work on the wedding industry. It was definitely not my thing, and I have selected the wrong YouTube niche in the past as well. I got scammed by different clients. I have many other stories where the client didn't pay me. And number 3, the nightmare client. That's something that everybody deals with up to this day. And I'm happy to have created something that can possibly help you with this, which is macroEdits. Also, if you have any questions about editing, technical questions, business questions, feel free to sign up in my school account. Link in the description. I will be happy to answer any question and coach you in your video editing journey. Like I said, I've been editing for 12 years, so I have plenty of experience in the industry. Leave a comment. Let me know what other videos would you like to see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.